I can hear you.
Everyone can hear me fine? Good. Then we're working. Call the meeting order at 7 p.m. Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call. Christie.
Present.
Rhonda.
Here.
Hey, Rhonda, remember that you're attending remotely. You have to do that little thing.
Oh, I'm attending remotely at my home in Grand Junction.
Gary.
Attending remotely, logged in, Van Buren County, Columbia Township.
Beverly Sherrer.
Yes, attending remotely from my home in Grand Junction, Van Buren County, Michigan.
And I'm Ken Spicer, Township Supervisor, and I am present at the Township Hall in Grand Junction. Agenda. We have before us an agenda. Is there any additions or subtractions to the agenda? Not hearing any. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda as written?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
I got a motion. Can I get a second?
I
I'll
second.
second it.
Rhonda, I got a second from Rhonda. Vote. Christie?
Yes.
Rhonda?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes,
Beverly?
Yes,
And Ken, yes. Public comment on agenda items. During our meeting tonight, we'll have 2 periods for public comment. The first comment period is to obtain public comment on the agenda for tonight. This is an opportunity to voice your thoughts on items in the agenda. The second public comment section is to give you another opportunity to voice your opinion on any and all issues. And with that, I'll open it up to public comment.
Go ahead, Karen.
Okay, as always, I have looked this over and have quite a few items, but they're all short. Gary and I attended one of the senior services open houses in early November. At that time, their projected opening of new activity center in South Haven is January 10th. I'm not sure if that's still the same. Is the planning director description included only for reference to finalize zoning administrator description? You don't have to answer me now. Supervisor Spicer indicated previously that active community involvement is a prerequisite for any appointment. I mean no disrespect for Mr. Francois, but so far I haven't found anyone that has met him. Given his address, perhaps he's a neighbor that we haven't met yet. Has Foster Swift confirmed that Bill Schrank is ineligible for a planning commission seat? Wouldn't it be sufficient to simply recuse himself on the topic of cannabis? The previous administration made an embarrassing number of errors that delayed North Lake's second SAD. I urge current board to schedule hearings with more than enough time to enable action before summer taxes. Did we receive only one proposal for snow plowing? We saw no advertisement in the reminder for that. Under pressure to award 100% of ARPA funds to Bloomingdale Communications, trustees persuaded board to reserve a portion for the township. We realize that there are restrictions on those funds, but it didn't take long for IT strategic plan to seize on that compromise. I would argue that Columbia Township taxpayers do not generally need or want to pay for the bells and whistles that you might find in offices like South Haven, Kalamazoo, or Lansing. Continuing to add and maintain the latest technologies also requires more sophisticated staff, consultants, and never-ending upgrades, which will eventually become unsustainable without raising taxes. The general budget already includes deficit spending. donated property, it's not a gift if you have to pay for it. What would the county do with foreclosed property if that were to be let go? Is it true that proposed grass rig is partly for serving cannabis farms? If so, are there restricted use funds from licensing fees that could be used toward the UTV purchase? I noticed the draft calendar and am just asking if it's for internal or external use. If external, the birthdays probably wouldn't be appropriate. The most heated topic during the 2020 election was the salary increase for elected officials, and the lowest rebuke came from the loudest rebuke came from Mr. Spicer himself. Continuing to increase wage rates and add staff will become unsustainable without raising taxes. The recent Capital Improvement Plan survey reiterates that our taxpayers are opposed to higher taxes. And the last one, the ordinance to establish board authority over emergency services department. I thought when I read it, it looked awfully familiar in that it already existed over the fire department. Has the board renamed or established a separate emergency services department? Thank you for letting me ask all my questions and comments.
Any other comments? Christie, you got any email comments or anything?
I do not.
Okay, let's move on to the consent agenda. We have the meeting minutes from the previous meetings, October 19th and November 16th. November 16th was actually not a meeting, but we had to lack a quorum, but we wanted to document that, so we're putting a note in there that we couldn't have the meeting. Expenditures, payroll, invoices to be paid, and monthly expenses, and the treasury report. We also have a calendar. The hall will be closed for the holidays. It talked about November. Well, no, talks about December. I can't move.
And I don't see the calendar.
Pardon?
Yeah, the calendar's not in the consent agenda. It's later on
Oh,
in the
okay.
regular agenda.
Okay.
Oh, did we move that? Yeah, it's moved. I just got the treasury report for November, October, and September. Any discussion? Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda as present?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
That's Beverly.
I'll
Can I
second
get
it.
a second?
I'll second it.
Gary seconded. Roll call. Christie?
Yes.
Rhonda?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes,
Beverly?
Yes.
And Ken, yes. Information and reports. We have a number of departments that provided us with written information. Does anyone listed in item 1 through 13 want to make a verbal report to the board?
Ken, I have a written report, but I just wanted to make sure that I said a thank you to our Commissioner Kurt Doro. He gave some assistance when asked. Even though he was ready to go, he was flying out for a vacation to visit his son. And he helped one of our citizens who had a need. So I just wanted to thank him for that.
Anyone else?
Nope, that's it.
I just wanted to make note that when I put Lonnie Johnson's name in my report, many thanks for his equipment. I spelled his name wrong, so I apologize for that, and I didn't mean to butcher it up.
Anyone else? Okay, we're going to move on to unfinished business, the capital improvement plan. The capital improvement plan is an administrative document that details how a project gets approved. The CIP plan is a process which maintains a current database of all projects in which they have received written proposals for consideration. That project proposal is then reviewed by the Planning Commission and may obtain a public hearing for going forward with a project. It may not go forward. They may decide doesn't have public support. The document the board received from the Planning Commission were missing the application forms, which should have been located in the appendix. Christie, thank you. You have taken the document and provided the changes, administrative changes to the CIP to clarify the areas we were seeking to obtain grants, and she has included the forms back into the appendix to allow the township board and the department heads to begin developing specific capital improvement plans to be submitted to the Planning Commission for review and consideration in public hearings. The CIP is a process in which a specific project plan can be approved. The CIP does not require a public hearing, and a single specific project submitted to the Planning Commission is where the requirement for a public hearing would be required. I expect that probably the Planning Commission, as they get a whole bunch of these applications coming through, they would probably only have 2 public hearings a year to go over projects that have been properly planned, got capital money available, and have sought grants. So I would ask that we approve the CIP as modified to move forward with being able to file for grant money and from this future time. Is there any discussion?
Yes, actually, I have a question for Christie. Christie, I know you added the forms, which I don't seem to see here at the end, but have there been any other changes since the Planning Commission submitted this to the board? I don't have access to our draft.
Yeah, there were a few other changes made. I'm sorry, sorry, I couldn't use the space bar and navigate at the same time. So let me start right here at the top. First of all, I just did some format changes just to make it easier for if we need to do any future updates to make sure it syncs with the table of contents and make it easier for updates down the road. So that was just formatting.
Yeah, no, I specifically meant just
Yeah.
content.
I want to say there was like a word or two in here where I found a typo or a missing comma or something through there.
Darn, I thought we had that all sealed up. Thank you.
You
for
always
that.
find them later, you know. Well, let's see here. Mostly it was formatting and just making things all the same. I did not change any intent anywhere. I know that much.
Okay,
There was some sentence structures that I changed, I think, in this section.
yeah, the intent is what I'm looking for. I just wanted to ask that. I feel like I should ask that question and it be answered. So,
Yep, I understood. So
Oh.
I just want to make sure I did add some stuff towards the end here. So I want to show you that. Well, I redid this flow chart to make more sense for the actual process. There was one thing that was out of order, so I moved it into order. I
and
want to
we
say it
were
was,
having, thank you. We were having trouble with that. Thank you.
Yeah. no problem. And Fire Station 2 was actually missing, so I added that one. I added a little description for Emergency Services Department that wasn't there before. This stuff was all just formatting. Oh, here we go. I added, oh, and actually I have blanks in here that I need to fix. Public safety and roads weren't listed here, but I thought they were, we have capital assets involved with both of these departments. So I thought it was important to include those as well. So I did add those too. That's the same. Oh, and then I added a couple paragraphs right here about the process, which is referencing those forms at the end. Yeah. So it just
Okay.
says how they would complete the forms, what forms are required, what the board is doing versus what the department would be doing.
And that was something the planning commission chose that we had decided not to do because we felt like that was more of a board function and that this would be board driven. So we didn't want to get into the forms that were going to be used and all that. So I don't think I have any other questions.
Okay, and I just, one other thing, these charts at the bottom, these are just example charts,
Yes.
just to show what that would look like. I added those in there too. Those weren't there before.
And the examples in the CIP plan, they're also just examples.
Yep.
I just want to make sure that people realize that it's not a project that we're actively working on at this moment. Although they look like real life examples, they're just put in there as an example.
Right, exactly. And then the forms are here at the end. And this one you're not even gonna be able to read on your screen because really this is a big spreadsheet. I just took a picture of it to put it in here. Okay.
Well, I'm sure this is going to be a kind of a moving target as time goes on also. So at least we're getting it started.
So Beverly, are you saying that the planning commission then went through this and this in the commission's approval for a starting place for getting a CIP in place so we can maybe get some grant money and that sort of thing?
Yeah, we felt like we thought that our part of it was done and we sent it off to the board. And as far as the additions, we already had the knowledge that the board could make changes. And as far as the forms, we kind of wanted the board to decide what forms they were using. So, yeah, I don't have a problem with it if that's what you're asking.
Well, not necessarily a problem, just that it was a finished document up to this point. And of course,
Yes.
it's a work in progress, obviously.
Yeah, we had definitely approved it, and our intention was to send it on to the board to do any tweaks that that the board felt was necessary to start getting the work done.
Okay.
I just wanted to know what those were. That was all.
Very good,
Beverly,
thank
do you
you.
think it's important for the planning commission to look at it again?
I
Is
don't
there
feel like
anything that we did?
Ken,
Is there
I don't,
anything we did? Is there anything that has been done by the board that would warrant us sending it back to the planning commission for final approval?
I don't believe so, Ken. No, that's why I was asking the questions. I feel
Okay.
like it's still the same document we sent.
Well, it's a document in that's fluid. I mean, it's going to be changed as things change in the plant, in the township. So I guess we could pick up other changes if necessary at a later date.
Yes.
Any
I-
other discussion? Any comments? Can I get a motion that we approve the CIP as modified to move forward with being able to file for grant money?
So moved by Gary.
Gary made the motion. Could I get a second?
I'll second.
Who was that? Beverly?
Yes.
Beverly seconded. Roll call vote. Christie?
Yes,
Rhonda?
Yes,
Gary?
Yes,
Beverly?
Yes.
And Ken is a yes. We're
The
gonna
only
move
other-
on.
the
Pardon?
only other comment I would have, Ken, would be, I appreciate all the work everybody did on this. Looks like a pretty nice flowing document, and covers the majority of what probably the township would be looking for in the future and be able to change with the future development of the township for the taxpayers. So I think it's great.
Thank you, Gary. New business, our zoning administrator, Tasha Smalley, has informed us that she has too many townships to serve and is unable to provide the enforcement portion of zoning that's required by Columbia Township. She would like to continue as a zoning administrator without the enforcement part of the job until we find a replacement, and no later than March of the 31st. That changed from her previous position of ending on December 31st. Is there any discussion on that? Allowing her to stay to do the administrative portion of the zoning administrator to March 31st?
I would just like to say that it's a good idea to have Tasha to stay as long as she's willing, to give us a little time to find a replacement.
Anyone else? I agree with you, Beverly. Anyone else? Can I get a motion to approve the zoning administrator without the enforcement? Well, let me replace that. Can I get a motion to approve the resignation of Tasha Smalley of the enforcement portion of the zoning administrator until we obtain a new zoning administrator and no later than March 31st, 2022?
I'll support. Oh, I'll make that motion.
Beverly,
Yes.
she's made the motion. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Rhonda's got a second. Christie, vote.
yes,
Rhonda,
Yes,
Gary,
Yes,
Beverly,
Yes.
and Ken is a yes. Let me check here. I too appoint a zoning enforcement officer effective immediately. Tasha, back when we got Justin as our deputy sheriff, gave us a letter that we could act on behalf of the zoning administrator with the enforcement part of zoning. So our deputy already has the authority from Tasha, but with her leaving, or we thought she was going to be gone at December 31st, we wanted to make the township board go ahead and appoint him as our zoning enforcement officer, that he would still work with the inspectors and help the inspectors when they determine they got somebody that doesn't want to comply. And that's kind of where we're at. So from that point, is there any discussion?
my only comment would be, makes common sense. Whenever you have a situation where someone doesn't comply, it's always better to have a uniformed officer for nothing more than show of force. I know I did that with the other townships as well and worked very, very closely with the supervisors as well as the zoning administrator and the inspectors as well for different situations. So I think it's a good move, and I think we should do that.
Any other discussion? Can I get a motion to approve our contracted deputy sheriff as our zoning enforcement officer effective immediately?
So moved.
I
I'll
got,
support
who supported?
Beverly.
Beverly supported. You guys are quick tonight. Roll call, Christie,
Yes,
Rhonda,
Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
Beverly,
Yes.
Ken is yes. What we have is actually two job descriptions, one for a zoning director and one for a zoning administrator. And zoning director, yeah, could be a zoning administrator, and the zoning administrator could probably go the other way. So we actually have two job applications. What we're trying to do is get a good job application on the record for the township and actually tie into what we're looking for. The problem of getting somebody that's degreed might be a little more difficult for a zoning director, but we're not voting on this tonight. This is like our first read of it and the options that we have here, and to get some discussion for the board members, what they might like to see with us. And maybe they may want to see somebody as a zoning director is only going to the planning commission and working on the future growth of the township and not doing the administrative portion of it. And not going out and doing the enforcement part of it. That would be the zoning administrator would do that, but the zoning director would be someone that goes to the planning commission. And I guess I'll open it up for discussion.
Well, this is Beverly. I feel like our greater need is for a zoning administrator. If we have a zoning director, that's a zoning director and a planning commission. It's the people through the board that should be setting like a general direction that the planning commission moves in, the needs of the community. And I feel like when you put that on a zoning director and I just feel like the zoning administrator is a better idea. One, we could probably afford one and find one because the requirements would be less. And two, I just feel like a zoning administrator in conjunction with the planning commission that we have right now and will have in the future, regardless of who the members are. I just feel like that is a structure that fits our township and the size of our township much better.
My only comment would be that I've read over both the descriptions for the director as well as zoning administrator, and there seems to be a lot of redundancy, and I don't think it's needed. And I agree with what Beverly had mentioned about this, the enforcement and things for our township. And if it's one of the only differences is having a director go to the sites and stuff, there's no reason a zoning administrator couldn't be able to do that as well. And I think that if push comes to shove and you need an enforcement officer there, I don't think it would be out of line, or maybe it would make the person, if it's the zoning administrator going to the field, they'd feel better with a little support with a uniformed officer. So I don't think it would be intimidating or anything for them. So I personally, I don't see a need for a zoning director.
Well, let's back up. The zoning director it requires a bachelor degree with a major in urban planning or equivalent in the related field. So the other one doesn't. Are we looking for somebody that has a bachelor degree or somebody with a strong background with education on urban planning? Or are we just gonna try to bring a zoning administrator in with a minimum amount of experience?
I just like to say that I think we could blend these two together. So if there are certain things we want from one that is not in the other, then we can blend them. I do like the idea of having some type of knowledge, skills, and abilities section. Whether it's exactly the same as what's in this, I'm thinking probably not, but I do think we need something.
When I researched this for the zoning administrator position, I did find a person that may be interested if the board so chooses to go this route. And there is through Michigan State Extension, there is different criteria and different, I guess, classes you could call them, where a zoning administrator does get their training and work under another person for a while if needed. So there is some guidance and there is some knowledge that's obtained by and through these classes for this position. It's not just somebody that would like to try it and has minimum requirements.
And as far as the overall like community planning, can't we reach out to Southwest Michigan Planning? Don't they assist the local townships with an overall plan? And
Only-
following
Only to
our,
pay them.
okay, so when we're talking about pay, and I'm not being disrespectful here, but I think we've got champagne taste, but we've got beer money. If we could get someone with all these qualifications and actually afford to pay them. But as you guys well know, what we're spending right now on planning, I don't feel like it would support a salary that this position would require. Maybe that's something that needs to come into the mix is like the prevailing, you know, what's the general pay for these positions? I don't know. I do know that the surrounding communities are also, I saw that Arlington has an ad right now looking for a zoning administrator.
We could also word the job description in a way that leaves it somewhat open, that we desire certificates or a bachelor's degree, but that it's desired, not required.
So that it's experience, so that experience could take the place of the formal educations. Let's say it's someone that's been doing it for 10 or 15 years and they know what they're doing, but they don't have the credential. Or
I
somebody
think
younger.
right now our knowledge and skill kind of says that when it says or equivalent in a related field, professional designation as a community planner preferred, a minimum of 4 years. It doesn't say that we're going to get somebody like that, but what I understand here now is we wanted to combine both of these and pick out the best things that we could get and try to buffer them where we have enough worm ways of being able to get around what we would like compared to what we get. Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, what I'm also here, what I'm not exactly, I just feel like the zoning administrator job description, to me, it fits better on what we actually need in the township. Right now, we need someone who can help us in crafting our ordinances and enforcing our ordinances and the permitting and et cetera, et cetera. I'm not sure about the planning piece unless that could come as a bonus. But I'm just thinking out loud here and asking questions, so.
Let me ask this so that I can maybe draft a document that's exactly what we all want. Is there anything on the zoning administrator job description that anyone does not like?
I like
Well,
everything
I
that's
think-
on it.
My personal opinion on this would be, we need some more time to research the documents. There may, and I'm sure there probably are some MTA boilerplate type things that you can take and use for your documentation, and maybe combine the two with language that would benefit both the planning commission as well as the zoning administrator itself.
So actually,
Like-
that's what happened. Is I downloaded, I'm sorry, Ken, I don't remember which one. Ken put one of them on here. The other one I actually got from MTA.
Yeah,
Oh.
it appeared, yeah, okay.
The,
I had the zoning administrator job description, and I got it off an old Townships thing, and then I think I added a few things from another township that they had to beef it up a little bit more. But and yours came from the I believe the Michigan Municipal League, right?
Mm,
Wasn't it the Michigan Municipal League?
probably
No.
probably was MML because they deal with larger urban areas.
It may have
Um,
been the Michigan Township Association, but nevertheless, we got two documents here. We need to buffer them both together and see what we can come up with. And again, this is just like a first read. We're not going to approve it tonight. We wasn't going to vote on it tonight. We're just throwing it out there to see what everyone thinks. And then we're going to try to develop something based on what the conversation was tonight.
Okay, and Christy, to answer your question, I liked, there was nothing in the zoning administrator job description that I disagreed with. I thought it was pretty good and covered most of the mark of what we need.
okay,
Well, Christy's right. We're missing what we're looking for is the qualifications of the person. I mean, they do need a driver's license. They do need to have some sort of formal education. They do need to have some experience. I mean, I guess we could train them, and if we're going to train them, then we need to have a set of what training we're going to require them to have.
Right, well, a job description is different than a job ad, a posting. I guess.
Well,
well, it is,
mean,
but that's what drives.
if
the
you
posting.
don't have a driver's
Okay.
license, I don't think I'd want to hire you to do this job.
Oh, I
mean,
totally agree. Yeah,
Well, let us work on it. This is what it's for. You got any other questions, Chrissy, you need answered to help you go forward?
No, well, I was just going to propose that maybe Bev and I can work on this as kind of a ad hoc subcommittee. Since Bev is on the planning commission, it makes the most sense. If everybody's looking at that.
Well, when you two get done with it, why don't you just let me look at it and maybe I can, maybe I can't do that, but. yeah, why
Well,
don't
you can
guys-
look at it, it'll be part of the packet.
Yeah, well, we'll go from there. Is there any other discussion we want to have on that?
no.
Okay,
other
not
than-
hearing that, I'm gonna move to I-4 unless somebody else got something to say. I have been searching for probably the last 3 months to find somebody that would be interested in being on our planning commission, and I have struck out. Everyone that I asked don't really seem too interested in being on the planning commission. We have somebody moving into our community that's actually restoring a house on Saddle Lake about 6 doors down from me. And he's rented from me for almost 20 years as a renter. And he's very much into lake and lake management interested in the fishing in the lakes and worried about the weeds, and he's really pro lake, pro fishing, pro hunting, even though he doesn't do much hunting anymore. So I was talking to him, and he said, well, if I'm not living in the township right now, but I would surely like to be on your planning commission. And I told him he needed to send me an email or a letter. And he actually wrote the letter that you have there. But like I said, I've known him for the last 20 years. And he would be very good for this position. And the lack of finding somebody else makes it pretty difficult. I do understand how important it is to have other people talk to him. And I guess maybe we ought to wait and give you guys an opportunity to go meet him, or arrange somehow that you can meet him, which maybe he comes to our next meeting, which will be at the Township Hall. You can talk to him. He's pretty straightforward in that. And I guess not having a member for 1 month is not a bad thing.
I did want to address Karen's comment about the spouse of a marijuana facility owner participating in government. And there is currently a House bill, well, I'm sorry. Yes, it's a House bill that passed the House, but appears to be stalled at the Senate, that would allow that to happen. It is House Bill 5700 from 2020, if you want to take a look at it.
Christie,
Also, Karen, I did contact Foster Swift about him because I was going to recommend Bill to be on there, and Foster Swift said no. And they also said there was a House bill coming up, but this was way back when I was looking to put him on back in the summertime.
Is it my understanding that the planning commission still has the ability to move forward on different concerns with just the 4 people? Beverly, is that
yes,
correct?
we do.
They're going to select officers on
Yes, we do.
January. When they select the officers, that's kind of why I was trying to get him on there, to get him into where if they go to select officers and they can't get anyone to be the secretary or whatever, they got somebody that they might be able to appoint. I'm sure he's willing to do anything that you want. He likes to move things forwards and finish projects. He doesn't like stagnant things. He's very conservative with spending money. He would, in my opinion, be a pretty good candidate.
Well, my personal opinion at this point would be to have him come to one of our meetings. Now they're going to be in person, and discuss a little bit, meet him a little bit, have him give us a little bit more background of what his strategy is, or his outlook on the community might be, other than just this letter. And then he can be put on the planning committee. I believe it doesn't have to be a special date or time to do that. Is that my understanding?
Yes,
It has to be at a board meeting, but yes.
No, I understand that, but I mean
Gary, if you wanted to meet him, if you just went to his house right now and stopped in and saw him, he would welcome you right there, and he'd sit there and talk to you about his qualifications. What he did. He worked on the railroad company. He used to be an engineer, actually drive the trains from Chicago to California, and got a lot of stories about that, and very likable guy.
I'm sure he would be more than happy to do that. However, based on what the business is concerned with and what the seat would be for the township, I think it would be appropriate to be handled at a meeting, not one-on-one.
Right.
And can I just, because I was curious who this was, I tried to do a property search and this name did not come up anywhere in the township or in the county. Maybe they haven't updated their records yet or something.
He is right now in my cottage while he's building or restoring his house that he's purchased on Saddle Lake.
Right, but if he
Right.
purchased it, so that's what I was wondering,
When?
why he didn't
He-
show up in the tax records. That
And he plans on, well, he should show up at 08460 First and a Half Street because he purchased it back in August. I'd be surprised that he isn't listed in the tax.
I'm
Tax
not
record now.
surprised. I just want to state that the county offices have been very slow at updating records.
Yes.
Just keep that in mind.
Yes.
Yeah, well, he's pulled all his permits. He's got a building permit. He's got a soil erosion permit. He's got the sewer and water permit. He's got all the permits to do the construction he's doing.
Well, that's good.
Well, I mean, there's a
Especially
guy
since
that's
he's your neighbor.
gonna follow the rules. So we want to table this till next for an interview?
Postpone.
Yeah, so we can meet him and, you know,
Well, I need a motion to table this to
Postpone.
postpone. Postpone any action till the next meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Got a second?
I'll second it.
Christie,
Yes.
Rhonda,
Yes.
Gary,
Yes,
Beverly,
Yes.
and I will go with yes. North Lake Special Assessment District. The North Lake Association is requesting the Township Board approve a 20% increase in the current special assessment. They're saying that the Michigan Environmental Great Lakes Eagle has changed their testing requirements for the project, and the project consultants have recommended additional rounds of herbicides and bio treatments. It is our Township Board is responsible for preparing the plans and the description of the improvement and the location of the improvements. And it looks like the township has allowed North Lake Association to contact and hire without Township Board approval. The township has no contracts or agreements that I'm aware of for the aeration, weed control, attorney, professional services, project consultations, or the fees that they're paying to the Michigan Great Lakes Energy Environments. In other words, I can't find where in the records that we have here where we have approved any of their contracts. And even the attorney that wrote us a letter, I don't see where we authorized an attorney to go out and determine our special assessment district changes for the 20% increase. We have our own attorney, and I don't know how they're actually approving stuff. So they're asking us to go ahead and spend money to advertise until 2 public hearings on a 20% increase in the special district for North Lake. And that increase would be an annual $140 increase. That's one of the things we can go ahead and do. We could do nothing and direct North Lake Association to live within their annual income, or the township can go ahead and seek a contract from a Total Lake Management Company to take over the SAD for North Lake. I don't think North Lake Association is responsible for signing any contracts with other parties. I think we are the ones that signed the contract. And I don't think that they're also allowed to make a financial commitment on the behalf of the township without our board approval. I have had a number of people, and I think I now have over 51% of the property owners on North Lake that are going to oppose any increasement in the special assessment district for their properties. So with that, I'll open it up to discussion.
I think that the information that was received and information from our attorney stating that it is possible and they are within their rights to ask what they would like to do and increasing their set amount. And the other information that was received last meeting and from their attorneys rebutted some other things that apparently I believe, Ken, that you're not in favor of, with all due respect. So I'm in favor of letting them go ahead and do what they want to do. I know some of the comment was that why is it they're spending more money than some of the other said, such as Sad Lake. And my only comment on that would be twofold. It's there's no public access on the lake, so there's property owners. Pretty much, it's a private lake, other than letting people on if you're a property owner. And the other thing is that if they want to pay for the bells and whistles, it's no different than somebody going out buying a Cadillac car with all the bells and whistles, or somebody else going out and buying a Volkswagen with no bells and whistles. It's a matter of preference. And if they're willing to do that, let them buy the Cadillac. Doesn't matter to me. It's their particular right, and it's their particular decision to do. So I would state we go ahead and have the public hearings planned to let them go ahead with this assessment district increase and have the meetings done in a proper form and in time frame for them to get it on the summer tax rolls. That's my comment.
Did you read the letter from Laura Genovich? Her last statement was, "We gather that the association has contracted directly with the service providers for lake improvement services. For future lake improvement assessments, as with any other special assessment under the Act, we recommend that the township directly contract with the service providers. That will ensure that the township is directly paying for the services with the special assessment funds rather than delivering public money to a private association."
Ken, can I jump in this discussion here? I have read Laura's letter and her recommendations, and I was listening to what you said about the 51% of residents. So I have two thoughts here. One, Foster Swift is saying that we can go ahead with this. But two, my thought is we need to help them come into compliance. So I think that for future, we should go ahead with the contract and get a contract on record, because we know the township's past record keeping has not always been the best. We don't know if there's been one or not. At least I don't know that for sure. And if we do schedule a public hearing, if a majority of the property holders are opposed, that will be their time to make that known.
This is Jeff Walker from North Lake. Am I able to speak now, or do I need to wait till all the board members have?
Jeff, yeah, you can go ahead and speak.
Okay, first of all, I wanted to say I've been on this board for about 14, 15 years, 16 years, I'm not sure. And we've worked with the township every step of the way. We've done everything we've been asked of, and we've used your lawyers, we've used your recommendations, we've abided by everything. So wherever we're at now is by the guidance of the township, okay? Currently, my invoices come to me at my address, so I know what's going on. so that I can verify what has been going on in the lake and what's going to be done and that it's been done. And it comes to me in care of Columbia Township. So I'm not sure how the arrangement is, how your past, lawyer set it up, but, maybe we can, review your records and figure that out. Okay. Thirdly, North Lake Landowners Association has a group of very generous donors, and we have a private North Lake Landowners donated fund. So this is how we're able to afford a lawyer to help guide us through this complicated procedure that we keep going through. Let's see here. According to the letter that you just had, where's your last page? All right, from Laura Genovich, it says in there that, quote, cost increases of less than 10% can be approved without notice or a hearing. So I'm actually going to ask our lawyer if he'll refile this request for a 9.99% increase. Thirdly, I'd like to say, Ken, as a township supervisor, telling us to live on our income, I think is very unprofessional. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Jeff.
I just want to say that no matter what the percentage is, I would like to hear from the residents, and I still would prefer that we have a hearing if we're going to consider an increase.
Any other discussion?
Can I speak? This is Niall Windorf, the president. We're very willing to have a hearing. We don't believe 51% don't want to go forward. We believe that it's actually quite the opposite, because we've had numerous Zoom meetings and phone calls and emails, and we want to continue that process of being completely open and transparent with our membership. So we're not into wanting to hide anything. And to reinforce what Jeff has said, every one of these contracts we've had over the years, we have reviewed it with people at the township prior to executing them. We've gotten their involvement. Their lawyers have looked at it with us, and then we have approved it and said, no, this is, they have fulfilled their requirements. It has then been sent on to the township for their processing and record keeping, and we've given them contracts for everything. And we obviously, if there's some process you want us to change, we are more than willing to want to cooperate and change it accordingly. But we were doing this to the best of our effort, consistent with the direction we received from the township and historically. So you should certainly change it in whatever way you feel appropriate. And we will comply, and we would have no problem with having a conversation and letting our property owners speak, because we do believe the vast majority are more than in favor of this, what we have heard repeatedly. And that's why having the township, the hearings could certainly make sense. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Niles.
I just want to state, I know I've only been here for 2 years, which isn't very long in the scheme of things, but I haven't seen an actual contract for any services that I can recall. I have seen plenty of invoices that have come through, but not the contracts themselves. According to my conversation that I had with Laura prior to her preparing this email, she made it very clear to me that the township should be taking the first steps in obtaining those contracts, and should be negotiating those contracts, and should be signing those contracts.
Really? I don't think so.
So I just want to say that's why she put that little piece at the end, because ultimately the township is responsible for all of those funds, which means we're responsible for the contracts. I know with our other SADs, we actually do sign the contracts. So this is a
Christy,
little different.
I'm sorry, do you mean contract administration?
Yeah, the
Responsible
contracts for
contract.
the services.
Okay, and this is Jeff Walker again. You're not talking about actually deciding what type of services we're going to have for the SAD that we're going to be paying for, correct?
The SAD
just-
should have a specific purpose.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We have a very
And
specific services, very well spelled out. But my question is, so you're saying you need to sign the contract, but you also said evaluating treatment, something along the lines of evaluating treatment. Are you going to be deciding what treatment that we're going to be having on our lake? Or are you just simply, we're going to present it to you? This is our plan. This is the contract. We have the SAD that's going to pay for it. Would you please sign this and be a partner with us in this project?
what I'm saying is that the attorney made it very clear that they want us to be a part of the entire process. That doesn't mean that the North Lake Association would be cut out of the process. It just means that the township should be part of the entire process.
Well, for me as a homeowner and paying into a SAD, I would want to know what type of control exactly would the township have on what type of treatment is going to be done on my lake for the SAD that I'm going to be paying for. So how do I find that information out?
That would be in the wording of the original SAD.
So this is Beverly. I'm confused here because what I'm reading in the memo from the attorney is for future lake improvement assessments, as with any other special assessments under Act 188, we recommend that the township directly contract with the service providers. That will ensure that the township is directly paying for the services with the special assessment fund rather than delivering public money to a private association. So I read that as for payment purposes, not as the township choosing who that provider is going to be. And I'm not an attorney at all, but as just a private citizen, I would think that the way you would think the way it would go is that the residents there decide, the association decides what they want to accomplish, what their plan is to get there, what the cost is going to be. And then we contract, then the association has the providers that they're interested in contract with the township so that the township can pay the bill using the residents' tax money directly to that provider instead of to a private association.
Absolutely.
Now, am I wrong
So-
in this thinking?
I totally agree with you.
So I had a conversation with Laura very specifically about this,
Okay.
because I was concerned when she started talking about what was happening here. And she was very clear with me that it is not just about paying the service, paying it directly to the organization or the service provider as opposed to the association. She was very clear that we needed to be involved more in the process of contracting and overseeing. Because I mentioned that we have, other SADs and how those go. And she said, well, that's better. But it still wasn't quite to the standards that she would like to see the township at. So I was
She
tempted to
doesn't
have her
mention that
come.
at all.
I'm sorry, say that again.
She's not mentioned that in her letter.
Well, it says that we need to make the contracts, that we recommend the township directly contract with service providers. And then she goes on to say that part of the reason why is because of the paying for services.
Yeah, I just can't really see that. I mean, this is what we've done all along. And by the way, Christy, I have contracts. I can send you copies. Some of them are 7 or 10 years old, getting older. So I have them, but and they'll run out and I have 10-year contracts is what we
Who
have.
signed them?
I have no idea. I just got, a huge stack of papers. I can go through them. I can find them. I don't know. I just know they come to me, via Columbia Township. That's on the top of the invoice, and then my address, and then Jeff Walker, attention Jeff Walker, and that's what I usually scan and send you guys, for payment. Or now they're just pretty much just emailing them to me. So that's what I've been doing. But I can get that information for you. I have it somewhere. Okay. But
Jeff,
I
do you
do
have
agree with Beverly.
contract with these people?
What's that?
Do you have a contract with those people?
Yes, we have a contract with everybody. Actually,
Who signs the contract?
I'm sorry?
Who signed the contract?
I signed the Restorative Lakes Services one because that's an annual contract. Maybe in the beginning, a couple of years, in the beginning, somebody there may have, but the main one is with Everblue for the aeration system. And that, I don't know who signed it, but I know we worked with the township and the township attorney at the time, and whatever was required is on there. But I think it was the president of our association at the time, Dave Craigs. And I know that Everblue, John Tucci signed it. And who else is on there? I have no idea. I'd have to look at it. I haven't looked at it for quite a while.
Jeff Niles, are you guys willing to come to the township hall and meet with me sometime where we can go over this in a little bit more
100%.
detail? And
100%.
Yes.
100%.
In the
You guys,
meantime- I'm
if you
sorry.
guys want to figure out the time that you're available, let me know. I can open up the hall anytime. If you want to make it at night, afternoon, whatever.
Can we schedule a public hearing for them in the meantime so that they don't fall? Because this is going to get too far behind from what I understand
What?
from a tax perspective.
Well, if we get too far behind, you're right, Beverly, then we're already going to be in the negative budget.
The township board, all you got to do is make a motion and then we'll vote on it.
And
So are you making a motion that we go ahead and start setting up the notifications and the hearing?
yes,
For North Lake?
yes, I'm making that motion with the comment that we need to help these residents do whatever they need to do and understand what they need to do to come under compliance, because we know that these wouldn't be the first documents that can't be found anywhere at the hall. And I don't feel like they should have to suffer because of that, but going forward, we need to assist them to be legal.
Bev, I got a
Agreed.
motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Can
I'll
we have,
second it.
can we have a date in the motion by any chance?
Yes.
Well, that's probably a good idea, Christie.
Would it be our next meeting?
Is that what everybody wants? Do you want to do a hearing at the next meeting?
We're talking the 18th of January.
Would it be? Yeah, like before the next meeting? Like the planning commission does, have a special, have it during, can we do that during the meeting? We can have the public hearing?
We could do it before or after the meeting.
Okay,
I would say that we probably need an hour.
So are we proposing 6 o'clock on the 18th of January?
6 o'clock on the 18th of January.
Excuse me, this is Colleen Murphy. I have a question. My hand is raised. Is now an appropriate time to speak?
Yes, you may go ahead and speak.
Okay. As one of the landowners on North Lake, I've been listening to this conversation. I'm fairly new. I've been a landowner for 2 years. What I've heard tonight is there's a lack of transparency here. And I appreciate everybody's thoughts and comments and work that everybody's provided. But what I want to know is, what do these other lakes in the area, what are they doing? How are they set up? Who's holding these contracts? Who's working with these contracts? And just what is the process? Because right now, to have all of the funds going to one person, to me, that's a red flag. And with all due respect, Jeff, I appreciate all the work that you've done. But to me, there's just a little bit of a lack of transparency.
Well,
So
I'm sorry,
just
what are you
wanted to
talking
keep
about?
that
It all
on there.
goes to one person. I don't know what you're talking
Okay.
about.
So
We have like 4 different vendors, for Christ's sake. I don't know what you're talking
this
about.
is not the appropriate place. Now, I will address the fact that the funds are properly managed by the township.
Okay.
That funds do not go to the association.
Okay. Thank you.
I can tell you with the Saddle Lake SAD, we contract with PLM we have no other vendors involved. They take care of our lake. They have for a number of years. The contract is then sent to the township along with the estimates for the application for services for the lake. And that's signed by the supervisor. And it's put in place that way. And then the funds are taken off the tax roll from the SAD and deposited in the SAD Lake SAD. And then when the bills come in from PLM, the township pays the bills. It's a real simple process.
Thank you.
Bev, do you mind if I restate your motion for you since we've
Not
kind of
at
gone off on a
all.
tangent? Okay,
Not at all.
I have that you move to set a hearing date of January 18th of 2022 at 6 p.m. to determine North Lake Special Assessment District assessment rate.
Yes. And in so doing, is that enough time to prepare the notices?
Yeah, come on in here. Sit down, identify yourself as.
I can talk down.
Pardon?
Yes,
I'm gonna wait.
this is Robert Dembski. May I speak now? Hello? Yeah, listen, my name's Robert Dembski. I'm on the lake. And I don't think the big issue here, which everyone's not understanding, is that how bad the lake is. And they're spending so much money on these aerations. And so I think everyone's kind of missing the whole picture here. If you come out to the lake, they have never tested to see how much these aerations have even done to the lake in 5 years. My opinion is you look at them, they have done pretty much nothing. They tell you that it's supposed to be just for the center of the lake. And, the weeds on some of the lakes, even on the west side, you're talking 700-800 feet where the weeds go out there. So these people aren't going to get nothing to do anything for the lake to help them. There's bogs out there that are huge that just get kept in bigger and bigger. You look at these aerations, you go out there, they originally said they were going to do a 100-foot radius around them. They do a 10-foot radius if they're doing anything. We go out there and physically pull weeds out of there by hand, bring in a rowboat so you can get your way even out to the lake. Then bring the boat in filled with muck and stuff. We take out more muck at the east end of our lake than the aerators do just by pulling the weeds out of there. So I think at this point, everyone's saying that the whole thing is that you need to get one person involved. We got 3 or 4 different people involved with this lake. This one's doing this, this one's doing that.
Excuse me, point of order here. This should be under public comments. I don't believe this is the time or place for this in this particular discussion.
I agree, Gary. And either that or we have to give the other 53 homeowners.
That actually includes you, Jeff. We actually need to move on. We have a motion on the table.
Thank you.
Okay,
I'll second
want
it.
to read the motion on the table?
Move to set a hearing date of January 18th, 2022 at 6 p.m. to determine North Lake Special Assessment District's assessment rate.
Can I ask a question regarding how do we show homeowner support? What's the best way to do that, or lack of support, so that we have an accurate representation at the meeting?
That is why we are having a hearing.
So it's just people showing up? Is that the main thing?
That is what a hearing does, yes.
To express, okay, there's nothing they can do beforehand they can't do like, I think they were passing around some kind of a,
Hey, Jeff, we're in the middle of a motion. That
Okay.
was a complaint before. Let
okay,
us do our thing.
all right, sorry.
There's public comment at the end if you need to make public comment then. Christie, where were we with the motion?
You have a first and a second.
Who's the
Second.
second?
Second,
Beverly. Who?
Gary.
Beverly moved, Gary seconded.
Gary. Okay, roll call. Christie,
Yes.
Rhonda,
Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
Beverly,
Yes.
and I'll be a yes too. We'll take it to a public hearing. Okay, we're ready to move on to I-6 winter preparations. Christmas decorations. Thank you, Gary, Lonnie, Ruth Cripps for getting everything ready and getting the decorations up. The other preparation is snowplow. We reached out to a number of snowplowing contractors to get a bid, and basically we did get a bid back, but we could not go with one of the bids due to well, there's issues with it. The only other one we have is Douglas Lawn Care, and that's why we only have one snow plowing proposal tonight. Any discussion?
Yeah.
I just
Ken
like-
was- Oh, I'm sorry. Was there something wrong with the bid, or it sounds like something you don't really want to say
Yeah.
too much about, but can you give me a general idea?
Let's say I received some mail that indicated that we should not contract with them from a from a governmental facility.
Okay, and last year, I do recall we were down to one person also who would actually come out and plow and do the sidewalks. So that's all I got to say. And this is 75 per time he comes out.
Yes, and last year the person did not maintain the sidewalks.
Oh, I thought he was asked to do that last year.
That
No.
was part of our original bid request,
Okay,
but he did not do that. That was not part of his bid.
okay.
And it was the only bid we got last year.
It's been a long year.
My only question is how were these bids obtained? I saw nothing in the reminder for any type of communication for people that might be looking for work.
They were posted on the website, they were advertised on Facebook, and we reached out to a number of people in the area.
So when you talk to the people in the area, did you call them by phone or talk to them? I mean, how was that procedure handled?
Word of mouth through other people. I did not speak to anyone individually myself, but I know other people who did. So it was, my primary goal was to get it on the website advertised and to get it out on Facebook.
So
And
how many bids were received?
One, same thing we received last year, one. And last year we advertised for like 3 months.
one quick question that just came to mind, Christy, they do have, would they be covered under our liability insurance, or do they have their own, or how does that work with the temporary, contracting like this?
It's their own and they have to provide me with a certificate of liability.
Okay. I make a motion that we accept this bid for Douglas Lawn Care at $75 to plow the hall and maintain the sidewalks. Let me rescind that motion. I have one more question that came to mind. What is going to trigger them to come out? A certain amount of snow? A phone
Our,
call?
our past has been a 3 inches of snow. But we can indicate whatever we want. That can be part of our discussion tonight, and he will comply with whatever we tell him.
I know it needs to get done.
Any other discussion?
My only comment is that around the lake area here, and including us, Lawn Boys out of Bangor does a good job of plowing, and they contract with several people here. Were they ever contacted?
Not to my knowledge.
Well, I like that this is a local person in Grand Junction, and that might help them late at night to get to us when we need to be gotten to.
I have a motion by Beverly. Do I get a second?
I'll second it.
Roll call. Christie,
Yes,
Rhonda,
Yes,
Gary,
Yes.
Beverly,
Yes.
and Ken, yes.
And Ken, you didn't give yourself any accolades for helping with the Christmas decorations as well. So you were a big help. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome.
Thank you all.
Liability insurance for 2021, I-7, proposed attached for discussion, approval. The approved 2020 proposal is attached for comparison. Any discussion on that?
I do want to mention that I did reach out to another insurance company that we have been attempting to work with over the last year and a half, and I was not receiving timely communication back, and I did not end up with a proposal in time. Actually, I haven't ended up with a proposal at all.
Was the carrier for us last year, was it not?
Yes, this is the same carrier, which is why I included the 2020 proposal, just for comparison's sake.
Right. Okay. That's what I thought.
But I wanted to do my due diligence and see if I could find, another comparable organization and I just was not successful.
Good girl.
I just have to say, I love the insurance industry. Anyone out there, if you work for insurance, nothing personal, gotta have it.
You got the cost for this?
The
Christie?
quote is 18,000.
Yeah, and some change. Remember the exact figure. I
I'm
believe there
trying
was
to find where it is in here.
I believe
And
there was a
last year
discount.
was how much?
I believe there was a discount and it came to roughly, I think 16 something.
What did we get a discount for?
We get dividends because we're an MML member. We're part of the pool.
Yeah, post-renewal dividend.
Okay, because I'm seeing last year's cost is about the same as this year's. So we will get a discount on off of the 18,000 that's in this year's quote.
Yeah, so right down here, you'll see the $1,900 is the dividend return that we should expect after we pay.
So
Okay,
this year's gonna be $17,100 if we get the dividend return.
okay.
Okay. Any other discussion? Can I get a motion to approve township liability and property insurance through Michigan Municipal League as presented?
So
I'll
moved.
make that. Oh, go ahead, Gary.
Oh, that's okay. I'll second.
Gary, second. Beverly, roll call. Christie,
Yes,
Rhonda,
Yes,
Gary,
Yes,
Beverly,
Yes.
and Ken, yes. We have an IT strategic plan discussion and initiative purchases. We have a document that Christie has generated. And I hope everyone had time to go through it. It lays out the ARP funds for large screens to play for the TV hall, to display township documents during meetings at the township hall. 13 iPads to be used by township board members, planning commission members, and zoning board of appeals for their meetings, to have all the items right there available for them at the tables. And she's looking to have that cost approved with about $21,000 tonight. And for the plan to show you what is being developed for the use of the ARP money. Is there any discussion?
I just wanted to mention a couple of things about the plan. First of all, the funds that are being requested tonight from the ARPA funds were funds that we've already discussed, and it was part of our original plan to include this in the ARPA funds. So that was part of the absolute first time we talked about it. And then when we approved it at the last meeting, when we discussed ARPA funds, there was a spreadsheet that was provided in which this was one of the items in which funds would go to. You will see there's a lot of other things in this plan that I was hoping everybody would have a chance to read, and we can discuss later. We don't need to discuss it all now, but I wanted to provide it to everyone because I know everyone's been asking, what are the overall plans? And I get a lot of questions about things like a guest network and what are we offering to our community and how can we improve our technology offerings to our community. That it came up frequently in the surveys that went out from the Planning Commission. So I wanted to make sure that we were working towards identifying areas that we can support the community with technology. And I wanted to also make sure that we were tracking where we have spent already. So some of these things are things we've already invested in, but I wanted to make sure that they were very clearly spelled out for everyone so we know where we are and then we can better discuss where we're going. The other thing that came up when I was going through this was this. I think we may have a vision statement that's been used at the township. I don't know that we necessarily have a mission or core values. This was part of a template that I had pulled together. And this can be a future discussion as well. I just wanted to get everybody thinking about, as we're moving forward and developing plans for the community, it'd be really helpful to have guiding vision, mission, and core values that we can always tie back to. So this would be something that might be a good project for the board in the future.
Mm-hmm.
That's all.
Any other discussion?
Yeah, I actually had some questions. getting sidetracked here with trying to get my own view back.
Press escape.
Yeah, I got it. Thank you.
Mhm.
So so have we received the ARPA funds yet, Christy?
We have.
Okay. So, why were we getting so many iPads?
There's one for each of the township board members, one for each of the planning commission members, and then there's 3, I think. I have to do the numbers again, but to keep here for ZBA, Board of Review, whatever other organizations might be meeting and need to use those for iCompass access.
Okay, and so we did approve, I remember approving so much money for technology out of the ARPA funds, and if I'm off track, then go ahead and correct me. Didn't we also discuss ventilation at the hall in the fire department? Or should I'll save that for another?
Yeah, that might be something we need to talk about at another time. We did briefly discuss that.
Because I thought that was also approved.
I don't think we approved it. We did approve setting aside some extra money in case that was something, in case there was something else we wanted to do, and that could be one of them.
Okay, so you're asking us to approve the spending and the plan tonight? I was
No.
thinking the plan was a first reading.
The plan is a first reading. I
Okay.
am asking for approval of the item 4 in the plan because we're going to need them for January.
Okay, and then I have one last quick question because it does relate to IT. So when you're at the hall, like if Ann is scanning something or Ruth or you, you guys don't have the little mini scanners that you could use right at your desk to go into the printer.
That is correct. We have one scanner. So I
And
guess
I
I should
don't
back up
believe
just a little bit. So the copier scans, but it scans to our email. You can't get it to scan directly to your desktop. That's been a problem.
Yeah, I'm thinking of document retention here. So we've got
Yes.
all these documents always coming in. We need to start, besides saving the paper, we need to digitize so that we've always got these extra copies. And I don't feel like that's a very expensive item. And I just feel like it would, if it's easier to do, people are more likely to do it.
Agreed. And right now we have a lot of pressure on Ruth to do a lot of that because the scanner is sitting at her desk and she uses it almost constantly to scan documents in for retention. It is, challenging for Ann and myself when we're needing to do the same thing, to be walking back and forth. I get my steps in, but you're right. It isn't a very costly piece of equipment.
Well, that's just something that I think should be, I think is a necessary tool at the office there because records have been a problem. And I know we're trying to make that a thing of the past. And I think small things like that are a good use of money.
I agree.
Any other discussion? Can I get a motion to approve the IT strategic initiative number 4 and the expenditures associated as a cost not to exceed $21,000 as presented?
That's going to be ARPA funded.
Yes.
Correct.
Now, Ken, you're asking for a motion to approve the plan right now?
I said
No,
IT strategic initiative 4.0. The $21,000 in that one item line.
Okay. Were you making that motion, Gary? Did I
No, it
hear
was-
you?
No, I did not.
Okay. I want to make the motion. I will make this motion because it is something that we did already discuss as far as the ARPA money and the limited ways that it could be used.
Do I have a second?
A second.
Is that Rhonda?
Yes.
Roll call. Christie?
Yes,
Rhonda?
Yes.
Gary?
No,
Beverly?
Yes,
And Ken, yes. Property taxes owed to the county for properties that we received titles from Leonard Jared trustee. Prior to the virus, we were approached to be donated these parcels above. And the virus came, and the person to sign the properties was caught overseas in Greece without being able to return to the United States. This delayed the signing of the deeds. And the deeds were finally signed at the U.S. Embassy in Greece. And this resulted in the property taxes not being paid. And the property taxes actually owed on them are about $40. With the penalties and interest, they are about $400 right now. And so there are multiple parcels associated with these deeds. Multiple parcels are going to probably bring in the about $5,000 easily, and that's still going to leave you with another 7 parcels. Some of those are 2, some of them are 1. I think most of them are 2s. I think there's something in Saddle Lake that has 2 lots that are across the road from each other. But the titles are already made out in our name. They've already signed off from them. And we could let them go back for taxes. And I know the larger ones are going to sell real quick. They'll probably sell those to the state. We're going to end up getting with the doubles and probably the singles. So that's where we're at. Is there any discussion?
yeah, I just, I feel like this is quite a conundrum here. I mean, we're tax exempt, so how do we pay taxes? And I know when we received this property, when the board voted on receiving the property, we saw it as donated property, free and clear. We didn't see it as something that was gonna have a back tax on it, and I feel like.
Hey, Beverly, one other thing I should have said. I have talked to Homer about this, and he indicated that we may be able to write this off as a virus issue through the ARP process. He's going to look further into that.
Can we wait until we hear from him?
Well, the cost goes up daily. I mean, they just keep racking up their penalties on us and interest.
I guess my only comment is why wasn't this, these parcels looked at the county to see if there was any liens on any of them for any reason, or if the taxes weren't paid on?
I looked online, and I noticed that the current taxes weren't paid, but they didn't have any delinquencies on them or that. And when we signed it, we was going to be able to get the titles and get them paid. And then the next time I looked, it's in foreclosure by the county, and it's became a mess.
So there's
So
nothing that.
we could do nothing and let them go back to the county. I think that we've made about $31,000 on the sales of property, and I think that if we take the money from that and invest into this, we'll make more money than the $5,000 we're about ready to spend.
Ken, have you asked the county at all if they would be willing to?
I
complete this?
contacted the county and asked them to just let us do this. I told them that the situation of the, they were in the process and the virus came and, basically they said that they had to follow the law. She said that she did go check on it and was told that no, we had to, pay the penalties and fees now. They couldn't, goes to the state, has nothing to do with the county.
Do you have an exact dollar amount right at the moment?
When I did the meeting minutes, it was, $392, I think, and one of them was a little bit higher,
Wow.
like 405. But like I said, they're going up daily.
5, 6.
So if they're let back, if they go back to the county and they put them up for auction, it's possible that someone else could buy them, or they would discount them.
Yeah, the problem is we have title to them. Well, I guess the county has title to them. They did a foreclosure on them. I don't know where that puts our title.
Yeah,
I
I'm
think they trump us.
confused. Are they foreclosing on us?
No, it was against Leonard Gerhard trustee. They filed it on that, and then they got the title through the court.
I think if we don't have the title yet, I don't know how this could be legal for us to even think of paying a private tax.
Ken, do we have title to these properties? Are they titled to the township name now?
I have a quitclaim deed that needs to be filed with the register of deeds, and I didn't file it with the register of the deeds because of the issue that came up. And I
Okay,
need more direction on where you want me to go.
so are you telling me you have not filed the quitclaim deeds on any of these yet?
I have not filed the quitclaim deeds on these. When I go to file that, they're gonna want probably $5,000.
Yeah, so right now, we do not own these properties.
That is correct.
I think it's an easy fix. I think either the LENTNER Gerhard or whatever this trustee, whoever was the owner, should be liable for the back taxes. Since we don't own them yet, I don't think it's right for our taxpayer money to be throwing money after bad properties. That's my opinion. And if they go back to the county, then so be it.
Yeah, and once they're back at the county, since they have not been transferred into our name, won't we receive the option to claim them anyway without the back taxes attached?
I thought we would.
I don't think you could claim them without them first trying to sell them at a tax sale. They don't sell at the tax sale, then we can claim them.
And that was my first point. If it's at a tax sale, typically, either they don't sell, because typically there's a minimum amount. And not only that, but if we have quitclaim deeds on it, or if some of those are titled in our name, but we don't really own them, they probably give the township first bid on them, or first choice on them. And then probably discount them somewhat so they can just get rid of them and get part of their money.
I gotta agree with Gary on this one. I just don't feel like it's for taxpayer money to pay the back taxes with it not being already titled to us. That it just doesn't feel right.
Any other discussion? Can I get a motion to revert these properties back to, let them go back, to the county on reverted property as they are scheduled to do?
I'll make that motion.
I second.
Christie,
Yes.
Rhonda,
Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
Beverly,
Yes.
and I'll go yes. I-10, UTV for emergency service for grass fires, a poreless UTV, quote from Kawasaki. Fire department is requested to purchase grass/wood UTV vehicle to be able to handle grass fires and wood fires. Open for discussion?
I think based on the both invoices or quotes, I guess they are. One of them is out of Polaris Direct out of Minnesota, and the other one is out of South Haven.
Actually, Gary, can I interrupt for a second?
Sure, go ahead, Dave. I was going to ask if you were on. I can't see you.
Okay. Yeah, the Polaris quote came out of corporate out of Minnesota, but it's actually out of Leaders Marine up in Kalamazoo.
Okay, okay. Since you're on, I don't see where any of these quotes also included a trailer to put this unit on to transport it.
In one of many emails that went back and forth, I thought I added 3,500 or not to exceed 3,500 for a trailer for it.
I didn't see anything like that either, Dave.
Okay, sorry, I meant to. But I figured 35, an NTE of 3,500 is way plenty to purchase a trailer. I was looking tonight before the meeting actually, and I think I can get one closer to about 2,000 or so.
I know when we met at your office the other day, we were talking about this briefly. You had mentioned that and for lack of a better term, I'm going to call it a skid that you have on the one grass rig that this would replace, you could use on a UTV unit. Is that still possible?
The skid unit we have would have to go back into an 8-foot bed pickup. We'd have to buy a skid unit specifically designed for a UTV. The one we had spoke of, Gary, was it's been our old grass rig, and it would have to go back into a grass rig or a pickup. Sorry.
Okay, so we currently have two grass rigs, and one is not operable. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. I like the option of the UTV specifically to get into smaller places. And as we discussed too, sometimes around these grow facilities, you don't have room to get a larger vehicle and stuff around there.
Right.
Which brings up a point that with some of this licensing from the marijuana growers, we could probably use some of that money towards purchasing a UTV vehicle.
Okay, you guys Gary, you're confusing me with the grow facility thing. We don't have large grow facilities in our township.
There are some grow facilities, indoor ones, over in
No.
Breedsville, and Breedsville is serviced by our.
Oh, Breedsville.
And I have a donation request letter that come a little bit closer to spring. I'm going to approach all of the facilities within Breedsville. I'm actually requesting about $450,000 total in donations for a possible purchase of a mini pumper. I know I've heard they're fairly generous. I did speak with one of the facilities when I did the fire inspection for them. They were offering to help out, and they were very helpful. So hopeful in spring that I can go back and we can get either a large portion of a new piece of apparatus to replace 2722, which is a 96 Spencer. And, hopefully we'll get, a good chunk of that funds to replace that truck.
Dave,
Well,
can you
that's-
explain to me how you use a UTV for a grass fire?
Sure.
I've never seen a grass fire happen, so,
Okay. Well, of course, most of them happen in fairly inconvenient spots to get to.
yes.
A lot of them happen, ironically, we'll have a grass fire in a muddy field where we sink our pickups. And the UTV being lighter, we can get it in and out of places. It comes with, I believe, a 150-gallon tank, pump, hose set up.
Oh, so it's like a little fire truck then?
Yeah,
On a
exactly.
UTV?
Yep.
Okay. I'm gonna say, what do you do when you get there? You bring on a shovel and a rake or?
That's part of it. That will be on there. But when you're talking UTV, have you ever seen the Kawasaki Mule?
Yeah, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
exactly that style of vehicle, but this one would be, we've got a Kawasaki quoted, we've got a Polaris quoted.
Oh, okay.
So it would be that, specifically that. It's like, it's got the, almost like a pickup bed or utility bed in the back of it, where, like Gary said, a little, if they're called a skid unit is placed, and that carries a gas powered pump, hose, and a little tank of water to, extinguish the fire. And it's smaller, lighter weight, so we can get it in and out of smaller places. We could use it for rescue in the woods where we've had hunters. We rescued a guy one year hanging upside down from his tree stand. We've had a couple of rescues in the woods with hunters. We can use it on a Calhaven trail.
Yeah,
It'd be
okay. I
a
get
multi-purpose
it.
vehicle, not just grass fires.
Yeah, and no disrespect intended, Dave, but why wasn't this in your budget?
Because,
It's not that expensive compared to what you guys have to pay for things.
right, it wasn't in the budget. I was planning it to go in this coming year's budget. But we had one of our grass rigs that was a DNR grant pickup, that we've got two DNR trucks.
Yeah,
They're both 1986 Chevy pickups. The one that is dead sitting over at Station 1 is where most all passenger vehicles and pickups are a 12-volt charging system. This is a 24-volt system. And
oh,
the both alternators are bad and the firewall wiring is all burned up. We had our mechanic out to look at it. He can't find parts for it. I've called the DNR and they don't have any of these trucks available any longer. And
oh, that's too bad.
they specifically said, when you have electrical problems with the 24-volt systems, send it back because you won't find parts. And they take it either to a scrapyard or to auction.
So you're saying you didn't anticipate that piece of equipment dying on you this soon?
Correct.
And then what will this do to your budget?
Well, I hate spending money, but
I know you always say that.
we're going to take a little hit on our overhead here. But what I would ask is if the board members are willing to approve this tonight for the Polaris quote, which is a complete quote with the skid unit and some of the other equipment we need, lights and siren and all that, for the $37,806.23.
Whoa.
If I could just get a not to exceed of 38,000, I'm going to shop around and I guarantee I can save some money over on this budget, or over this quote.
Dave, I have a couple of concerns. First of all, this one is unrelated to the UTV, but I just heard you say it, so I'm a little concerned. The DNR vehicles, those are going back to the DNR, correct? Because that's what I told the insurance company.
Yes, they are. We have 2060, which is the S unit that's burned up, that's going back. And 27, our old 2710, which is a 2005 Chevy Trailblazer, that is going back as well, because we have the new 2710 and we don't need that vehicle.
So those need to be off of our property by the end of this year.
Ooh.
Yeah. Because I think when you and I talked about it before, the plan, I think your original plan was to move them in November. So
Yeah,
I told them that we were not going to have them on our insurance for next
Okay.
year.
I'll keep trying to get a hold of, the guys up in Allegan at the DNR office up there where we have to take them. And I will try to get a date I can get them up there.
Okay, so going back to what Bev was asking, are you saying that you're going to use fund balance instead of amending your budget, your operating budget?
No, I need a budget amendment.
Do you know what line items you're planning to amend to
It would be
elect this fund?
the apparatus capital equipment fund or capital line.
Okay, so the $8,000 there, I'm assuming the radios you're still getting?
No, that was last year's purchase, or no, yeah, that was, well, this budget year's purchase, and those have been purchased.
Okay, so you have $8,000 there, and we're looking at another 30. So you're saying 30,000 is gonna come out of the fund balance?
Yes.
Okay, I have a comment while you're doing all this figuring. What I would really like to do, Dave, is I would like to go to Covert and look at their unit they have down there. You and I spoke before, and I said that I found out when I called them and spoke with them, they have a pretty nice unit that I understand. I'd like to see that. I'd also like to go to Leaders, check out the Polaris there. I'm kind of a hands-on guy, so I just like to look at things and see what they are. And you already have one grass rig that's workable. One has to go back, but the other one is still workable. So my thought process right now is if you have to get rid of the one, get rid of it, but keep the other one. And maybe put this on hold for this month. So we can check out these other vehicles.
Well, how about this? If we approve it, but don't purchase anything until after we look at it, that way we don't have to wait the month, and I can meet you in Covert, say tomorrow at 2:00.
Well, when can you meet me at Leaders? I mean, if we're gonna do this, I want to make a day of it, because I'm gonna see what I think the board needs to see, and especially maybe Beverly and maybe Rhonda, I don't know. But there's no pictures here, okay? Not that I'm just a picture guy, but Beverly asked what this looked like. So it'd be
Gotcha.
nice to have some type of brochures or some type of visual that you can put your eyes on and get in your brain and say, okay, this is what we want to do, and this is why we want to do it.
Yeah, but fair enough.
So rather than set up a time right now, because this meeting's kind of lengthy here, I can give you a call and we can set up a time and make a day of it and take a run around and take a look at things, and I can take some pictures with my phone, and then we can just discuss it a little more.
Okay. I am, as we speak, I'm going to forward an email to all of you with the pictures of what we will be doing.
And Dave, I see this quote expired on the 11th. You'll just have them update it.
Hopefully,
Okay.
supply and demand issues,
Yeah,
but
it said it expired 12/11.
yep. So my squirrel jumping all over, sorry. I forwarded you an email.
Okay.
It's got 6 pictures and a quote. And why I say I think I can get a lot better deal is I had one of my lieutenants investigate this, and he sent me a quote for another skid unit. And as you see, the skid unit in this quote is, say, rounding at $13,000. The skid unit in this quote was, for their top line one, was $6,000. So I know with a little more investigation, I can get better deals. I'm sorry, but $4,200 for lights and siren on a UTV is utterly ridiculous. That, I know that can be cut way back. And I'm kind of struggling to, the more I reviewed this, why we need doors, windows, and heat.
Well, that's why, see, Dave, that's why I want to take a look at these things and see what actually Covert has and how that works. Because when I was looking through this, I'm thinking maybe some of this stuff you don't really need.
Yep. Oh, agreed.
You know,
So-
I was thinking that the same about the heater, but then it came to my mind when you said you might do an off-trail rescue on occasion. It may only happen once every couple years, but I don't know. I was thinking if this could be something that you could use in the deep snow. You were talking about rescuing a hunter. So in my
Yep.
mind, that was what the heat was for.
But heat would be great, but realistically, we wouldn't, once we rescued somebody, I can't see us being in this thing with a patient or a victim for more than, extreme of maybe 10 minutes.
Well, some of the other things possible, sometimes you get the heat off the engine too, and you don't really have a heater, it's just directed.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's my comment.
Okay, well, I guess I would, and Gary, we talked quite a bit and I forgot where we landed on this, but I would request that that the board approve a not to exceed amount. And then Gary, whenever you want to meet, I'm off after tomorrow. I'm off until, I don't know, January 3rd. So I could meet you any of those days, wherever you wanted to meet, pretty much. But that's my request, and y'all are in charge, so.
Any other discussions? Can I get a motion to do one or two of the things? One, to go ahead and authorize the purchase, or one to postpone the purchase?
I'll make the motion to postpone.
It's Rhonda.
Yes.
Do I have a second?
I'll support
That is Beverly.
Beverly, yeah.
Your voice changed.
And I think Dave can work a little magic, although I wouldn't expect him to take it down to bare bones.
Well, my only concern with waiting is the longer we wait, the later we'll get it. And then I would like to be in it, and we have to train everybody to drive it safely. There's a class we will take that everybody will be certified to drive it in. And I would just like to get it before grass season, but.
I don't think that'd be a problem.
Roll call vote, Christie,
Yes.
Rhonda,
Yes.
Gary,
Yes,
Beverly.
Yes,
I'll vote yes too. Item I-11. The 2022 calendar. This is
where does the
a
time go?
discussion on the calendar. Christie, you got the calendar?
Yes, so just a couple things I wanted to note. It's written in the agenda, but the hall is going to be closed the 23rd through the 29th and the 31st through the 3rd. We will still be here working, but we have some records retention items that need to be completed, and it is necessary for us to be able to focus on doing that. We will be open on the 30th from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. for the collection of tax and other issues that might arise. And then I did want to mention that we need to schedule a couple of special meetings for budgets at the beginning of the year. So probably, I think, Ken, you said one in February, and then we'll do something at the, we'll approve the budget after our normal board meeting at a special meeting at the end of March.
Last year, we pretty much handled the budget in one day by everybody having a copy of the budget to look at it well in advance and provide comments, which we've incorporated or gave an explanation why we didn't incorporate it. And by February, we were able to do an tentative approval of the budget. I would like to get back to that. So what I'd like to do is get the budget. I gave you a copy of the budget. There's 3 items that are outlined. We're going to talk about them a little bit later. But for the calendar, we're trying to get a set up for a special meeting in February where we just discuss the budget and we talk about the areas that you're concerned with in the budget and not go basically where we talk about every line item and analyze it. We've already discussed it and got it pretty much controlled. So I like to do that before the February regular meeting so that we can approve it tentatively in February. You can still change it up till March, I think it was 29th or 30th, that I'd like to have our final budget. We'll have all the income and expenses done by then so that we can actually make a budget based on actual factual data.
So with that being said, I'm going to be in the Caribbean some of that time. So if you would like me to be at the special meeting, it would have to be closer to the board meeting. So like the 10th or later.
Like February 8th or Thursday the 10th, Tuesday the 8th, Thursday the 10th.
Thursday the 10th would work for me. Tuesday will not.
Fine. Anyone got a problem with the 10th of February having a special meeting on the budget? Going once, going twice. Special meeting February 10th, 7 o'clock. Good for everybody?
We do 6.
6 o'clock. Good for everybody?
Sure.
Yes.
Okay, we'll make it February 10th at 6 o'clock. In March, the March 31st falls on a Thursday. Tuesday is the 29th. Is Tuesday good for you, Christy?
I'm looking. So we're looking at the 29th. I think the 29th is probably fine.
Anyone have a problem with the 29th of March, Tuesday?
Not that I know of.
No.
Okay, let's go ahead and do the budget approval on March 29th. Want to do it at 6 o'clock again?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, and we'll hold the hearing that day as well, I'm assuming.
Mhm.
Yes, we'll have all our hearings and everything on the same day.
So I know the process was great last year. Is this the same? So in February, we'll work out what we do or don't like, and through Google or email, we'll communicate on any other changes. And then the March date is the public hearing.
Yes.
Correct. And what I've already sent you my first cut draft of the supervisor's budget. Everyone should have received that. And the next month we will have that budget in there, and we're going to talk about the budget. If somebody's got something that's really an issue, we'll work on taking care of finding out what that is by the first view of it. And then in
Sounds good.
February, we will sit down and go over all the comments we have on it. And then at the February regular meeting, we'll do a tentative approval. Make sure that we've ironed out everything at that point in time. That doesn't mean things can't change. It just means at that point in time, we've tentatively agreed that we got a budget that we can live with. And then when we get down to March, we will be able to change it again if necessary at the night of the hearing and that.
Okay,
That's kind of how it's going to flow through. There are 3 outliers. One of them is the federal government has said there's a 6.6% increase in wages. We have inflation that looks like it's going to be somewhere between 10 and 20% on goods, and fuel is going to be 30%. And I have not put anything in my supervisor's budget for those numbers. And I'm looking tonight for the township board to give me direction on that. And we're going to get into that shortly. I don't think this section of our meeting on the calendar, we have anything we have to approve, correct?
That is correct.
So we're
But
going to
please
move
let me
on.
know if you guys see anything that is incorrect or that we need to add to the calendar. I'm trying really hard to get calendar information out plenty early so everybody knows when everything is for the entire year as much as possible.
Okay, any other discussion anyone wants to make on that?
Is this calendar just for us or?
Is this going to be public or in-house?
Well, I guess technically it's public because it's in our board packet, but if y'all have a problem, I only used first names for birthdays, but if you guys want me to remove birthdays, I can do that. It's just up to you guys. I don't have any years on there. Is that helpful?
If it's a public calendar, I don't believe it's appropriate to have birthdays on there. It's public for the township. So I don't think, and it's township business. I don't think it's appropriate to have birthdays on there. That's my opinion.
That's fine.
Okay, we're going to remove the birthdays. I'm going to move on to I-12. Rhonda, you got something?
no, it's Bev. I was just going to say every year at birthday, I say it beats the alternative.
Okay, I-12, I sent everyone, and I think we have attached here a tentative road work for 22-23. The road committee, that'd be Marcelletti and Riva, and I sat down with our sponsor on the road commission, Brooks, Gary, Greg, and we went through what work we're planning for next year and what the cost would be. And what I've done is I tried to set up an ideal so that the board knows what work we're doing instead of you just seeing that we have a budget number of the township for $186,000. The county's going to pay $58,000 of that, and that won't be seen in our budget because we're not actually receiving the money. They're That's their portion of the work that they're doing. We talked about the top line, and then we get to the yellow line, and when we got to the yellow line, we added those other ones. And then when I got home, I also found some 51st and a half Street that has some problems that we probably ought to fix, like that big bump where the tube throws you kind of off the road down by the Silver Lake Road. And I thought we ought to probably try to fix that at the same time that we're on 51st and a half Street anyways. So that's all the road work we're planning to do next year. That's going to be about a third of the total roads that we have. And for the next 3 years, we're going to do a third of the roads that we have to get all our roads to better than a up to the 3s and 4s areas. Actually, if you look at that list over on the right-hand side, you'll see a RS rating. That rating is how long that road will last. This road right here will last a minus 11 years. In other words, 11 years ago, you should have done work on it. So we're trying to pick up all the 11s, 12s. We got to pick up some 4s and some 1s just to get caught up with everything. We're also using the Pacer rating as what they believe the road. A higher number, like a 1, is good. And we got some there that, even though it says it's good for a few years, it's really a bad road. So by the Pacer rating. So we're looking at Pacer rating that. What the county provided with us was a listing of what roads are used the most, which was good to know, but it still doesn't help us with fire protection and the ambulance services going down those roads on emergencies if we don't take care of them. And we as the road committee, we determined that we need to have the roads good enough that emergency service can actually serve the residents. The next document that we have is the Columbia Township Revenue and Expense Fund Balance. It shows the revenue that we have coming in. Chrissy, you want to move that down one page? Right there, it shows the revenue that we have coming in each year is about $337,000. We pay about $5,000 in driveway tubes, township streets, which is the township funds would be $186,000 for next year, $628. The county's going to give us $58,000 worth of work, and there's another $30,000 for what the county might recommend that we don't know about right now. It's our contingency is what I call it. And that's why it's in yellow. It could go away if we don't want to show it in the budget. Boom mowing is going to be $5,000. Extra width of mowing is going to be $6,000, and miscellaneous ditching $5,000. Last year they didn't take all their money for contract graveling. We had $33,000 in it. We've put the $33,000 in for gravel. They're going to kind of work on the gravel roads. 2 applications of dust control, gravel resurfacing, and then we're looking at sidewalks this coming year, Grand Junction from the post office down to Family Fair. And that's going to get us $369,000 of expenditures. Now, the audit beginning fund balance, I'm actually taking from the state of Michigan of our audit, off our audit report. BS&A is not matching the number that we reported to the state. So I use that number. I show what our revenue is, what our expenses is, and remember the 30,000 up in yellow would be almost what we're going to have negative in our fund balance. So we're basically spending what we have coming in. And I don't think we're going to use the 30,000. Again, that's contingency, leaving us with a $419,000 fund balance. As you look at how much work are we doing, which is a third, if we do a third the next 3 years, your fund balance is going to stay pretty much the same with this. And that kind of gets on to how we came up with a road fund. The second thing I want to talk about is that we're going to have increase in expenditures. I told you about wages. And I'm looking for the board to give me a hint on the percentage increase that they would like to see for wages. And if it's zero, it's zero. If it's 1%, it's 1%. If you have an idea what you want to put in the budget, I can only put it in the budget if I know what the value is. The other thing is inflation. I know it's going to be there. It's going to be 10 to 20%. I think it's going to start out with about 10% inflation. We're already feeling it in the grocery stores. It's going to run over to all the other items. Supply and demand, they're not making it to us. We don't have them. So I need to know what percentage the board would like to see for inflation costs. And after inflation costs, the cost of fuel, they're saying is going to be about a 30% increase. We went from $2 a gallon to $3 a gallon. That's a third. And I think the prices are still going up. Now, I have the budget out to you, and I have columns for what you think on wages. I have a column for inflation, and I also have a column for fuel increase. And basically, I need a percentage to put in there so I can finish the budget. That's kind of what's left with it. I think the next line that we get to is going to be cost of living increases. And I'm not asking for any action on item I-12. I'm just trying to inform you of some data that I need to finish up. Anyone want to discuss anything on this?
Going back to roads, I just really quickly wanted to say one thing. Rhonda and I ran that the free we were giving away items this weekend. And we had a member of the Breedsville community come in and expressed extreme pleasure with how our roads are improving in the township. Obviously, they're struggling still in the village. But she wanted to make sure that we were all aware that it's very well noted and they really appreciate us working on the roads in the way we have been.
Any other discussion?
The only question I have, Ken, is you were saying they were saying that fuel is going to go up 30%. Who is they? The state or the Department of Treasury or the news or?
Well, it's already gone up 30%, and it's probably going to go up more unless they start doing something. Now, I did notice that they signed some drilling bills, which they said they wasn't going to do up in Alaska. Now the federal government's going to start doing some drilling. They might release some fracking. They might, start doing some of the things that were being done a couple years ago to relieve the fuel crisis. But we don't know. We don't know how far they're going to go or if they're going to change their mind. One of the things that we're having with the inflation part is all the shipping containers now are on shore, but they still can't get them shipped across the state because they don't have enough truck drivers because most of them kind of lost their jobs when they were in the virus.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah. And I talked to some truck drivers and did reading on that. And it's more like they don't want the pay is terrible. And a lot of them are just getting out of that work. But I don't know. I know that we are going to have inflation and we probably should plan for it. And even if it levels back out after all this stuff is passed, better to have planned than not. And I did have a question on the sidewalks in Grand Junction, because I noticed that there used to be sidewalks and they got all overgrown. So I don't know if it's different for us, but I know in Kalamazoo Township, I was responsible for this sidewalk in front of my house. So how are we going to make sure that they're maintained?
Well, I'm hoping to get a grant for the sidewalks.
Have a plan for that?
Basically it's the age has done that. And you got trees growing up around them.
Yeah.
And dirt gets thrown on them.
Yeah, I know they're pretty bad what's there. I was
We
just
probably
wondering.
could ask Dave to go out there with a fire hose and spray him down. That'd clean him real quick. Power wash him.
Yeah, that might work.
I'm sure that would work.
And I just want to, Christy, passing along that compliment. I also want to say thank you for the way we're doing roads. I feel like everyone who's paying taxes in the township deserves for their road to be maintained. And I did not like the system before where the road commission with their grading was actually deciding which roads were going to get better and which ones were going to continue to be left to go to get worse. So I'm in support of the way you're doing this. I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, if the board members one at a time want to send me your thoughts on wage increase, inflation, and fuel cost increases with a percentage that you believe would be fair, or if you don't want it at all, if you could just send that to me so I can accumulate something to put into the budget, I would appreciate that.
Well, one general thing I would like to know, Ken, is I don't know. I believe I would be in support of some percentage, but I don't know for sure yet. Because I don't know what it would cost. I have no idea what we spend on employment, how many employees. So if
If I gave you a percentage of all the employees,
like a
of,
table,
1%, then you could multiply it by 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever,
yeah.
and then you'll have an idea of the total cost that it'll cost us.
Yeah, I would like to see something like that. If you don't
I will
mind.
do that based on last year's expenditures, what we'll see this year if we did that. And I'll break it up between the fire planning commission and the each group so that you can make a
Actually,
percentage for one and not the other. I mean, I'm
a bottom line would be fine, just a bottom line.
I can give you a bottom line, and I can do that on all three of them. And I think that let me send that out to everybody. I'll do it up for inflation. I'll do that at 10, 15, and 20%, and I'll do the wages, say 1 to 5%, and how it's going to affect the budget. I can do that, and then fuel, I'll do it. I'll probably do it 10, 20, and 30. And I'll get that out. I'll try to get that out real soon, like within the next 3 or 4 days.
Thank you.
Okay, I think.
Ken, are you talking about wage increases for employees and board members?
If I do it one, I'll break it down, and you'll be able to look at that for across the board, and then we can decide which group we want to do it, not want to do it. And that. Personally,
Okay.
I don't want a raise. I don't need a raise.
Well, I did a lot of research on this from the coordinated compensation proposal. It's 14-page document out of state of Michigan and the Employment Relations Board. And it has to do with rule number 154-4. But anyway, with the COVID surge and what they've done and what they're planning on doing and that sort of thing. So I can give you some information on that.
And I did read that document, Gary, all 16 pages of it. It was interesting reading, but I didn't find it helpful enough because I don't know who, there was a person dissenting. I don't know who it was, but it seemed more of a political thing than a budget thing because they kept referring to the governor's letter from November 20 or early in, maybe November 2020, saying that things were going to get really bad and, the economy was gonna look bleak. And then, of course, those numbers didn't pan out. Things turned out much better for us than we than I guess the governor or the legislator, whoever hoped it would. But they just kept going back to that. And I felt like they were trying to make more of a point that the governor was wrong than they were about, it left me not feeling any more educated on the state's stance on budget than I was before I read it. And I'm, I'm not dumb, but anyway.
Well, yeah, I think what
Thanks
you
for
need to
digging
do
that
is,
up and sharing.
I think what you need to do is you need to go on to the 2022 state by state increase, or what the average wage is for the states for 2022. And
Okay, I was
It-
just looking at that one report, the 16-page one.
yeah, no, that was a lot of reading, but
I read it.
yeah, but they also went over, and again, this is not the time to discuss this, because they took into consideration the unemployment wages that were extended, and also the stimulus checks that were sent out. So anyway,
Yeah,
Well, Gary, I'd like to sit down with you and talk about all three of these areas independently. You seem to have got some data that you pulled out, and I'd like to go over that and see where you're at.
yeah, I got a
And
whole bunch of it.
I think that would help me on coming to some conclusion
Fair
or a
enough.
starting point. Okay. Let's see, we have a line item 114, resolution to adopt a policy and guidelines for property tax reductions. And this is the first read of that resolution. Christie, you got that?
Yep, it's up.
Any discussion?
I thought we already had one of these. It was based on the states or the government's guidelines for tax exempt status.
Every year we get one.
Yep, we have to do it every year.
Yep. This one's
So we have to renew this for this year?
for
Yeah,
this year, yeah.
every year we have to do it. Ann gave this to me a couple weeks ago with the updated information from the current standards.
Yeah, well, yeah, I know that the percentages change, but I didn't think the actual resolution would have to change other than sliding in the new figures from the feds.
No, the resolution changed because Ann had an AMAR that she got dinged on one of the resolutions. And so she worked with the state to ensure that the resolution was exactly what they wanted. And that's the format that we're providing it in now.
So this format is from the state? Is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying the format's from the state. I'm saying that Ann had to work hard to meet the state's requirements and got the state to approve this.
Okay.
so so you're saying the one we had was no good?
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that when Ann had an AMAR, it was not for our township, in which they were using the same ordinance or the same resolution that we had.
Okay.
And there was a couple of phrases in there that the state did not like, and so they penalized.
Okay.
So she has redrafted it and received approval from the state to ensure that this will meet all the requirements.
Is there any other questions on it? This is a first read.
The only question I have on there is, do they always include land contract?
Yes.
I'm just thinking I could write someone a land contract and on my property, and it's just like, if there's a way, it usually gets done. That's all. I've seen a lot in these years.
Any other comments?
No.
Let's move on to 115, it's an ordinance to establish board authority over the emergency service department. And this is a first read. Back in 1999, we generated a resolution to develop our own fire department. And when we did that, things are different there than they are now. There's different rules, different regulations, different criterias. And what we tried to do is to bring this up to this year's standards and kind of talk about our integrate it with our other stuff that we're doing. Like we're talking about emergency service department is what we actually call our fire department now, which does more than just fire. They do medical, even though back in 1999, they did have first responders. So, but they didn't talk about it in the actual document back then. So what we're doing now is trying to make sure that we've incorporated that so that we identify that we do have first responders. We added a section to show that the fire chief is basically our emergency manager, and he takes care of the hurricanes, tornadoes, earthquakes, floods, wildfires, winter weather, chemical spills, disease outbreaks, biological explosions, other hazards like train wrecks. You know, he's involved with all sorts of emergency management and reporting to the county, state, to the DEQ, to the environmental departments. He's got a lot of responsibility, and we're trying to pick up what those are to get them documented. And then we have the medical first responders that, you know, we have them, what type of person they have to be. And then we had a disciplinary procedure that kind of conflicted with our employee one. So we kind of taken the disciplinary procedure and tied it into our township rules and our administrative departments. And that's kind of why we're doing this, is trying to get it updated. It mirrors the old one, but it adds a few things, I guess is the best way to say it. Any discussion?
No, I'd just like to see the old one to compare them.
I'll get you a copy. I think we had one that was actually redlined.
Well, I don't need it tonight. I can pick it up and look at it at my leisure. It's not a problem.
I guess Christie's got it right there.
So
That's
if
the
you
old
go into the document center of iCompass area, the portal, and you go to click on ordinance folders, it's the fourth one down.
I can't go in anything else because every time I do, I start losing sound. I can't even check my email.
Well, when we're off of the meeting, you can hop in there. It's always available. You don't have to log in to view it. It's publicly available in the ordinances folder in the documents area of the iCompass area.
Any other comments or discussions?
Nope.
Okay, this is a first read also, so I will get you a highlighted or red, a marked up red copy of the changes that were made. Okay, we're going to move on to, everyone done?
Would you send me one too, Ken? This is Beverly.
I'll send all the board members one.
Great.
I'll send it to everyone. Just don't respond to me
Right.
or to others with it. Okay, we all done? Moving
Yeah.
on. Public comments. Right now, we're open for public comments, any subject matter.
I see Karen's hand raised. Go ahead.
Just want to thank all of you guys. Really good discussion. It was a big agenda and you got through it gracefully. a topic that was not on the agenda, but I mentioned it to Christy recently, is that old communication board out front of the hall there. I know it's not new technology by any means, but it does still serve a purpose. And so far, we still have a very underserved area for internet access. So trying to tell everybody check out the website doesn't really make sense quite yet in this community. So I would still encourage some use of that signboard as well as the reminder, because some of our residents, that's really still where they will hear the communication that you're trying to get out. So thank you very much and Merry Christmas to everybody.
Jeff's hand is raised. Jeff, go ahead.
I just want to say that I think your software program there for your agenda is fantastic. It's very easy to follow. I love how the attachments are on there, and I think you guys did a great job. You're pretty knowledgeable of what you're doing, and I appreciate everything you've done. Thank you. Have a happy holiday.
Anyone else? Anyone on email or anything, Christy?
Nope.
Chat? Nothing on chat? Okay, last chance out there. Correspondence. We'll be holding our next meeting January 18th, 2022. It will be open at the Township Hall for in-house meeting. Chrissy, you got any other announcements?
Yeah, one more thing I wanted to bring up that you and I had talked about earlier today. So I'm gonna resume. Let's see. Oh, actually, you might want to talk about this.
Oh, I wanna put an ad in the newspaper with my own money and cover all the township board members wishing happy holidays to our citizens and their loved ones. But I didn't want to do it without having your permission, not through a vote, but just to have your permission that I can use the name Columbia Township Board wishes happy holidays to our citizens and their loved ones. Anyone have a problem with that?
No, I think it's wonderful. Thank you.
Yep, I agreed.
Great idea.
Okay, I'll make that happen.
Other than that, I just want to remind everyone about our closure dates and that we will be open on the 30th all day long, 9 to 5. Oh, one more thing. Transfer station typically would be open on the 25th. Obviously, that's Christmas. It will be open on the 26th instead, and there will be a notice and a reminder about that that's already been sent out. So that will be in this weekend's reminder.
Also, Christy, I go ahead and put, someone's got an issue that they need to talk to the township board about or anything like that, put my name and my phone number on the door while we have the township closed.
Absolutely can do that.
I will come down and meet him anytime. I think, could you talk a little bit about the people that have a fire and how we're trying to raise some money for them?
Sure. I think Rhonda sent a message to some of our board members. As many of you are aware, Rhonda and I ran a little free garage sale thing this weekend. And we had several community members come in and take advantage of that. And we had one of our citizens come in, and she was very taken aback and very, what was the comment she made, Rhonda? She said something like, people just don't do this anymore. And she was just really thrilled that it was being done. And while she was here, she was talking to us about how she's currently running one of the homes on her property to a family that had lost their home in Allegan. It seems like it was about a year ago. And they're still struggling to recover. They have plenty of clothes because, you know, a lot of people helped them with that over the years. But we heard the kids say, while they were trying to pick out gifts for their parents, that they weren't going to be able to have a Christmas tree this year, and things were obviously quite tight for them. So Rhonda suggested that maybe we could sponsor them a little bit. We're hoping to be able to get them maybe a small like tabletop Christmas tree and decorate it, and some toys for the kids. And the kids mentioned a couple things they'd really like to have for the parents as well. So we thought we could maybe wrap a gift or two from the kids to the parents. And then we thought some snacks and things for the holiday vacation would be helpful. I know that's one of the things a lot of the people in our area struggle with when the kids aren't in school. So we have a little girl that is, keep me honest here, Rhonda, 11, another girl that's 9, and a boy that's 7.
Yes.
Really sweet kids. They had a good time picking things out at our little sale, and we just want to be able to help them in any way they can. So if anybody wants to contribute, we can drop things off here, bring money in here, and Ron and I will make sure that we put something really great together for them and deliver it on Christmas Eve.
Thank you, Christy. We're going to move on to number L, board comments. Gary.
Actually, I don't have any comments tonight. I just, I'm glad we got through this. It was kind of lengthy, but I think we did justice on it. I would like to remind everybody that winter's coming. The roads are going to get icy and slippery, especially at intersections and bridges and overpasses. So be careful of that. Wish everybody a happy New Year and a Merry Christmas. And with that, I'll just say good night to all.
Beverly.
Yes, Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night.
You're here.
Okay, Beverly's done. You done, Beverly?
Yes, I am, except I just, no, not quite. Just
Yeah, I didn't think so.
count your blessings. Remember others in need. And I know a bunch of good-hearted people in the community. They do, we do. And again, Merry Christmas to all, and Happy New Year too. See you next year.
Rhonda?
Okay, I did want to add in the reminder for the December 30th, the all day. That'll be the last day for tax that I'll be collecting taxes for the year. Like we said, we'll be there till from 9 to 5. And just want to wish everybody a safe and Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Christy?
Thanks everyone for hanging with us through this long, lengthy, wonderful time. We got a lot accomplished. I think we did a good job. And I'm really looking forward to another year of even more fantastic work for our citizens. And for everyone out there, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. I hope you all enjoy time with your friends and family.
Thank you, Christie. Well, I want to thank the township board members for all the work the board has done for the residents of Columbia Township in 2021. I think a lot of things were accomplished. We've been working hard together, and I want to wish everyone a happy holidays. And Jeff and Niles, get a hold of me. We'll set up a time, a place. We'll meet. We'll talk about this, and we'll come to some conclusions.
Sounds good, Ken.
With all that being said, can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'll make that motion.
Who's that? Beverly?
Really?
Beverly, you know you made more motions, first motions tonight than anyone else.
Well, I'm sorry. I was just trying to move us along.
Well, you're doing a good job at that. Can I get a second?
I second.
That was Rhonda. I'm going to be able to see who talks next time. I got a second by Rhonda. Do I have a vote here? Christie,
Yes.
Rhonda,
Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
Beverly,
Yes.
and me. It is 9:50 p.m. and we are adjourned. Thanks, everyone, and happy holidays.
You too.
Thank you. Same to you.